Hi guys, my name is Katya Dunn and I am going to be analyzing BMW's corporate social responsibility contract. BMW stands for Bavarian Motor Works. It was established in 1916 by Carl Friedrich Rapp, who was an aircraft engineer. BMW is the combination of three smaller German companies and headquartered in Munich, Germany. BMW's first product was a straight-six aircraft engine named BMW Isla. BMW manufactured aircraft engines during both World Wars and sold their first car under BMW in 1928 following the acquisition of a car manufacturer. The first car was a rebadged Dixie named BMW 315. Aircraft engines, motorcycles, and automobiles were the focus of production for BMW until World War II. A lot of production facilities in Germany were bombed, and the remaining were banned from producing motor vehicles and aircraft engines. So, for the company to stay in business, they started producing pots, pans, bicycles, and farm equipment. BMW resumed car production in Bavaria in 1952. The focal point of BMW's social responsibility comes down to one word, and that's sustainability. BMW's goal is to be recognized as a responsible, sustainable, and innovative partner in the community and in the production network. BMW promotes sustainability through green manufacturing processes, educating members of the community, and through diverse initiatives. They have over 100 different CSR investment projects that all align with specific focuses. BMW is committed to promoting sustainability through these 6 focuses below. That's CO2 reduction, electromobility, circularity, environmental and social standards, and their employees, and society. I'm going to start with BMW in South Africa because BMW built their first production facility outside of Germany in Rossland, South Africa in 1979. It was the first car manufacturer to export automobiles from South Africa to other markets. BMW has invested over 10 million rands into the production facility in Rossland. The conversion rate from rands to US dollars, $1 is 16.84 rands, so keep that in mind throughout this presentation. And then if you're wondering what contributions BMW makes to South Africa's development, I'm going to cover that next. BMW is trying to promote sustainability through social investment. They invest millions of rands each year into empowering locals to build sustainable lives. So they do this through 3 focal points. One is HIV and AIDS prevention through education and creation of easier access to healthcare, community development through training programs such as the Academy, which I'm going to cover right here on the next slide. And then they also invest in education and sport development through creation of educational institutions. So next I'm going to talk about how BMW has advanced community development and education. BMW opened the Plant Rosalind Training Academy that's been operational for the last 40 years and cost about 73 million rand. And remember that conversion from rand to US dollar is 16.84 rand is $1 American dollar. At the Training Academy, they offer skills development for employees and for managers. This is good for moving employees up into the workplace and providing them more educational and money-making opportunities. Also at the Training Academy, they have incorporated an accredited trade test center, and it provides in-house trade qualifications that are open to the public. They also offer leadership training with trade apprenticeships. So this means that employees or the public who are already invested in a certain position or maybe wanting to work on trade apprenticeships but also have an inclination for leadership, they can kind of start working on them at the same time. So by the time that the individual is done with the academy, they have leadership training and they have their trade apprentices either completed or started. And this is really what's going to allow the company to make a bridge of information and connectivity between the leadership and the management of the facility at the Rossland plant and the trade workers who are doing the manual labor. Over 2,000 people received training from the academy and began working at the plant in Rossland. Obviously, their primary focus is to try to train people to get them to put in more, or to be able to put in their skills and utilize it for BMW's beneficiality, but they do have that accredited trade center that's open to the public. And this is really promoting the idea of skilled car manufacturing. BMW has a specific comment that they've made about it, that they wanted to allow people in the area to have an opportunity to explore the car manufacturing industry and bring South Africa up to the next level overall, even if that meant that they would be working for a competitor to BMW. BMW has invested a lot of money into educational pursuits in South Africa. They have invested money into 144 different schools. Their latest pursuit was a primary school that received 4 million rand in funding, which led to the creation of a new computer lab that accommodates 80 students at one time. It led to the creation of a robotics and coding program that's going to be taught out of that computer lab. They built a library out of an old classroom to encourage a quiet space for reading and knowledge development. They also provided funding for a multi-sport facility. This is important in just remembering that they wanted to develop people into being well-rounded individuals and allow children to have space to play and utilize their childhood, and to create competition between each other, which is really a very healthy psychological thing for a lot of people. BMW partnered with Gauteng Department of Education to provide 24-hour internet access for the school. That was really a large thing in their investment that BMW wanted to give to the school, was access to 24-hour internet. And obviously BMW is not an internet provider, so they were able to partner with the Department of Education of the local facility to provide that internet access. Next, we're going to look at how BMW increased healthcare access and their COVID-19 response in South Africa. So BMW, with the cooperation of the German government, invested 76 million rand into the advancement of 9 hospitals and 4 clinics across 3 provinces in southern Africa. They did this to help ensure the health and wellness of their colleagues, employees, and partners. With the 76 million rand that BMW was able to give over to South Africa to advance their healthcare system, they were able to add 750 beds. There were hospitals that received fully equipped ambulances. BMW gave locally manufactured BMW X3 models to Red Cross to use for transporting locals to hospitals, transporting warm meals to remote villages, and it provided information about COVID in about 6 different languages, which I think was really important in trying to stop the myths about COVID, and what kind of protective measures that people could be taking. They converted a Soshanguve clinic into a COVID testing and screening center. This town is actually nearby the Rosslyn plant, and many associates of the plant are housed near around the area. So family, friends, colleagues, so on and so forth. So BMW wanted to add a testing center and screening center right around to try to protect their employees and to protect their production facilities. There were upgrades that were made to the accident and emergency centers. Next, I'm going to cover BMW's sustainability in culture and society. This is important because it shows that BMW wants to have South Africa's culture and society develop and flourish, and they want to make investments into that. One of the ways that BMW wanted to promote cultural sustainability was through a 1991 BMW collaboration with Dr. Malangu, who is a South African artist and a member of the Ndebele Nation, to produce an art car design. That is the car that she designed in 1991, right over here to the left of the presentation. Dr. Malangu has received global acclaim for her tribal-inspired designs. And BMW actually circled back with her about 30 years later, and she is currently designing an interior design for the BMW 7 Series. This was really good to promote culture and brought attention onto the Ndebele Nation and what they do in their tribe and how they choose to promote their own culture, and I think that was really important for BMW to kind of bring that to the light. This car has been shown off at countless different events. I believe, if I remember correctly, that it hasn't been driven on a road or on a real like a race car or anything like that, but it has been in showrooms and presented to the world, and has led Dr. Malangou to receive global acclaim. Another way that BMW is working on sustainability and culture and in society is through the Rhino Orphanage. BMW has been in partnership with the Rhino Orphanage since 2018, and it's based in Limpopo, founded by Ari Deventer. The orphanage is a non-commercial center that cares for orphaned rhinos and injured rhinos with the sole purpose of rehabilitating them and releasing them back into the wild. This is pretty important because rhino poaching is a very big deal down there. On average, 2 to 3 rhinos are shot every day, and they are present on the endangered list. BMW provided the organization with 2 locally manufactured BMW SUVs to fight against the effects of rhino poaching. And this is an important time to kind of highlight that BMW's motto is that we build more than just cars. I think this is a really great way for them to utilize and kind of show what they mean with that motto, and that they're interested in investing in, South Africa's problems and what kind of cultural challenges that they're facing, and how a car manufacturer can be involved in that. So next we're going to cover environmental sustainability. So I'm going to cover BMW and the environment. BMW was one of the first companies to be awarded the iOS 14001 certificate. I know that sounds like a robot name, but what that certificate indicates is that BMW ensures green manufacturing through all processes of production. This starts before manufacturing begins, and it goes until the vehicle is shipped to the customer. The firm the BMW Group is always looking for ways to reduce their environmental impact through reductions in energy and water usage, alternative energy sources, and they're constantly revising plant manufacturing procedures and the impacts that it's having on the surrounding environments. The BMW Group has a solid waste recycling program that reduces the need of landfills. They have a water conservation initiative that saves 9.5 million gallons of water a year. 99% of waste generated by their global production is recycled and recovered. And BMW also has the highest targets in the industry for environmental sustainability for 2023. So they are the leading car manufacturer who are trying their absolute best to cut CO2 emissions. They're trying to be more involved with their suppliers, which we're going to cover here in a second. And I think it's really interesting that they're the ones that were taking the lead. I guess I had never given thought about BMW doing that. So reading some of these statistics was really cool for me, and I hope you guys enjoyed them as much as I do. Now I'm going to cover BMW's group standards for their supplier network. One of the ways that they are trying to tackle their environmental footprint is through setting up a group of standards for their supply networks. They're trying to control the supply chain. So in 2014, the BMW Group set mandatory sustainability standards for their suppliers and have signed contractually binding agreements. BMW is reducing its usage of raw materials and increasing its usage of recycled materials. They're trying to use sustainable materials such as the FSC certified wood, the Knauf plant, which is a part of the hibiscus family and used for the fibers of the interior of the vehicle. They use Echlin, and then they use aluminum versus steel because aluminum has a better recyclable life. They also are equipping their cars with tires using certified natural rubber and rayon, which is a wood-based material that strengthens the tires. This attempts to further sustainability in the natural rubber supply chain. This slide just goes over some of the standards that BMW has for their supplier networks. These are some of the laws that they are contractually in agreement with their suppliers, but they also go a little bit further than that. They do take some regulations a little bit further than even regulations that the Paris Agreement wanted to start, which I think was really cool. So if you just read through these, you'll know what kind of standards they're trying to hold their suppliers to. So this is just a slide on electromobility and CO2 reduction. For the electric cars, they are emission-free. They have the BMW iX, which generates 45% fewer emissions than a comparable SUV with a diesel engine. And also the BMW iX uses a lot of recycled and renewable natural raw materials. They also have plug-in hybrid options, and those combine petrol and electric engines and a very strong battery. It allows for the reduction of CO2 emissions, but also giving drivers the comfort of having both while we're all transitioning into the electric car model. The car automatically switches between driving systems to maximize fuel and battery efficiency, so that's something that the car will control. In this slide, I just have some environmental sustainability goals that BMW has, like the reduction of CO2 emissions per vehicle by at least 40% by 2030, climate neutrality of production by 2050. They're pursuing a circular economy by recycling raw materials for as long as possible. I'm going to have some other statistics that you could take a look at. So that overall concludes my analysis of BMW's corporate social responsibility. I'm sure that they're taking a very heavy stance on some of this environmental stuff because as a car manufacturer, they do have a lot of large and negative effects on the environment. But I really think that BMW is trying to take things to the next level. They're not just saying, hey, I've made all of these agreements, I've signed all this paperwork saying I'm going to do these things, and haven't done them. And I think another thing too is they've really put thought into their corporate social responsibility, because they have a lot of like long-term plans and solutions that they're trying to implement. They're trying to educate and give people the skills to be self-sustainable, even if that means that won't benefit BMW. And I really think that's kind of the focal point of what BMW is trying to get at, is that they don't want to give out charity. They're not just going to give free things out to people, which is understandable. I wouldn't want to do that either, but they would rather equip people with the tools necessary to survive, and I think that is of particular importance.